and welcome to Super Girl Sews. My name's Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. This is my second video in collaboration with Little Miss So-and-so. They invited me to be an ambassador for their Learn to Dressmake plus size subscription box. And this is my second one, as I've said. I've subscribed to their boxes previously, and I do love the Little Miss So-and-so boxes because they have this unique feature, which is that you can pick from a selection of fabric. So you're not ending up with fabric that you aren't going to use, basically. And so far, I've made the Serene trousers, and this is the video for the Serene skirt. So if you don't know how the dressmaking subscriptions work, Little Miss So-and-so have paired up with Donna from Size Me Sewing. Now, I didn't know this until recently, but Size Me Sewing, they release patterns it's like a collection of patterns all under the same name. So this is for the Serene range. So you have the Serene trousers, the Serene blouse, Serene skirt, Serene dress, Serene jumpsuit. And this is also the first range in an extended size range, which is amazing. And that's why I hadn't made a Size Me Sewing pattern previously. So that's really exciting. I loved the last item I made, the trousers. In the box, you get everything you need to make up the garment, but also you get a couple of links. So one of them is a link that you get with any Size Me Sewing pattern with a guide to sewing the garment. And then as a Little Miss So-and-so subscriber, you get an extra video link, which has more in-depth tips. Now for the trousers, I got some really amazing tips on fitting trousers, on how to get the crotch fit right. And it made a massive difference to the finished garment. So I'm really excited to see what tips I can get on this video. The box it's primarily for people who are learning to dressmake, as it says. But I've definitely, I learned a lot in that first box. I'm self-taught. I know there are a lot of sewists out there who have learnt through YouTube or whatever. And so there are sometimes little grey areas where there might be things you do wrong, or there might be things where you avoid certain things because you're not sure how to fit this or how to do that. So it's also a really great way if you just want to have a bit of a reset of your skills and try making some different garments. So yeah, that's it. So for today, I'm going to show you what came in my box. As I said, you get to pick from a selection of fabric. And yep, so I'll show you what I chose, and you get some other bits and bobs as well. Now, there is one main difference to the first box that you saw, which is with that box, we were given a paper pattern, which was great. For the boxes moving forward, they've decided to go with PDF patterns, but that includes a printed out version on A0, which is great. That's my preferred way to print patterns anyway. And also you then get the PDF, so you can then print it out yourself if you choose to make it again. A couple of really good things about the Size Me Sewing patterns. They're called Size Me Sewing, excuse me, because instead of having numbers, you have symbols. And this is to encourage you to pick based on your measurements rather than having sort of a predetermined size in your head that you think you should be wearing. So for example, there's like star, square, squiggly lines, all sorts of things. And then also on the pattern itself, each of the sizes are color coded. So it's much easier to cut out than a lot of other patterns can be. So that's really, really great. Both times as well, I've had what I need to make the garment, but there's also been like a little extra treat that you could use for the garment, but that I wouldn't have expected to receive. So last time it was a point turner thing, and this time it's just some nice sharp machine needles. So these are for like silks and microfiber fabrics and densely woven fabrics. So I think they're extra sharp, which is great. Now the fabric for this is, I've got, I think, a viscose lawn. I think it's a viscose lawn. So it'll be quite light and drapey, which is obviously great for a skirt, but can be a bit of a pain to sew with. And obviously this box needs to appeal for beginners as well. So having proper needles, everyone knows, makes a massive difference to your sewing experience. So the other items in my box, I have some nice wide elastic for the waistband. And I have some thread, black Gutermann thread. And then the fabric I chose is this, as I said, it's a viscose lawn. And it's sort of, I mean, that's pretty, isn't it? It's sort of like an animal print, or it's just abstract. It could be either. It looks a bit like an animal print, but it also just sort of looks like an abstract pattern. I picked it because I like the colours, so I love the sort of cobalt blue and the green. It's on a darker base, so which I always think makes things a bit more wearable throughout the year. And it's got really nice drape, and it doesn't feel too I feel like viscose can always be really varied. Like it can be super, super light. And then depending on what it's mixed with, that can make it more manageable. This has drape, but it feels like it's got quite a nice amount of body. It doesn't feel too slippery. So I'm hoping this won't be too much of a pain to sew with. So, and it's a nice skirt. I've got a couple of jumpers and tops that will go with this. I do need to start sewing up plains. I'm hoping if this skirt works well, I might be able to make a sort of work appropriate plain version to wear some of my patterned blouses with, but we'll see how we go. Now, a bit of information about the pattern. I'll pop a picture of it here, the Serene skirt. So it is, I mean, in the description it didn't say the length, but I would say it's pretty much almost a maxi length, depending. Now the reason I say depending is because it's actually got a dipped hem, thanks to this flounce, so a high-low flounce on the bottom. So that means obviously at the front it's maybe more midi, but at the back it'll be more like a maxi skirt. And the main features are, it's got this nice, aside from the tiers or the flounce, it has an elasticated waistband with a little tie, and it also has these nice pockets. Now I loved the pockets on the Serene trousers. I thought they were a really nice detail, but without being too complicated, but they really elevated the look. So I really love that. Yeah, so this is a really great pattern. I'm really excited to sew it up. So I'm going to go away now, and when I come back, I'll have a finished garment for you. All right, see you later. Hi guys, so I finished making my Serene skirt and I really enjoyed it. So I'm going to pop some pictures up here so you can see it. Now, this was it. So it's the second garment in the journey. And I think the idea is this subscription box is for you to sort of improve your skills as a beginner dressmaker, or to sort of neaten up your skills if you are self-taught like me. Now, the Serene skirt is a pretty easy sew in terms of construction. It's really straightforward. As with my previous review of the Serene trousers and month 1 of that subscription box, the instructions are really clear. The videos that accompany it, so you get the video that you always get with Size Me Sewing Patterns, and then you also get one that's just for subscribers with extra tips in. They're really clear. I honestly can't foresee what issues you would have. Now, as I said, in terms of construction, this is actually, if anything, a bit easier, I think, than the first pattern. And that's because obviously it's a skirt, so you don't have the complications of getting the fit right in the crotch. That's a lot easier. The waistband is very similar construction to the Serene trousers. There are these pockets, so to make that a bit more complex, you could add in piping or a contrast fabric, so that the pockets really stand out. But basically, the construction's really straightforward. Fab, really quick skirt. Now, the two main things that you're focusing on in this month are, one, you learn how to adjust the skirt so that the proportions work for you. So again, there are certain, because I'm self-taught, there are certain things that I've learned to do really easily, and there are certain things where I've just never really thought about how the patterns are put together and how to make sure that everything works for me. Now, in this skirt, there is the main part of the skirt, and then there's a sort of ruffled tier at the bottom. And my normal instinct would be just to take all of the length off the bottom tier, but then obviously you end up messing with the proportions. I'm quite short, so I often have to shorten skirts. And it might seem common sense to other people. It's like, as soon as you hear it, you think, why did I not think of that? But they show you how to take it off so the proportions remain the same. So how you take an amount off the main bit of the skirt and off the gathered part, so that you end up with this good length for you effectively. And the other thing that's super helpful is they give you some tips on how to work with slippery fabrics. Now, my fabric, you do get a small selection to choose from, and I chose a viscose lawn, I believe it was. And it's gorgeous, really drapey, lovely print. Wasn't too bad for fraying. I think viscose can sort of, sometimes it seems to just disintegrate, and other times it's okay. Now this one was okay. And it's a really good fabric for a skirt. It feels nice and swishy. It holds the gathers really well. Great. Now, in this video, the thing that's different is you get tips on how to work with a slippery, drapey fabric. Because obviously, especially when you start to sew, it can be a pain working with fabric like that. And I definitely felt that when I learned to sew, the main mistake I made was picking the wrong fabrics for certain projects. And also I would pick things, I would think, I want to make that dress and it doesn't look too difficult. And I'd pick a drapey fabric like it suggested, and then I'd make a hash of it because I didn't know how to work with that type of fabric. So I think it's really good that they're really teaching you the basics as you go through this course. So they really teach you everything you need to know about sewing with these tricky, slippery fabrics to make it so much easier and to mean that you get the best result in your garment. Yeah, so it was really, again, maybe very obvious to some people, but I think of myself when I was first learning to sew, and it was a really steep learning curve by doing, and I made some terrible garments that looked a mess. And I think if I'd gone through this process at the time, it would have meant that I would have ended up with a load of garments that actually all looked nice rather than them all being a bit of a mess, even though they helped me to learn in the long run. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. Now, I'm excited for the next month. I actually already have the box for the next month, so I need to get going on that. But it's the Serene dress, I believe, is the next one. So we're upping the ante a bit with the dress. And the box looks really good. That came, so I can't wait to film that for you and show you what's to come in the next box. But I hope that you've enjoyed this video. As I mentioned, I'll put the details below for subscribing to this box. It is really great, first of all, to have a box that is geared towards people in a larger size range. It's great to have such good guidance so that the products that you're making are not just okay and passable, but they really, you're learning how to fit yourself properly and really learning how to make things work for you. Now, in terms of the design of the Serene skirt, I feel like my body shape, like I'm quite top heavy. So there was something in the proportion of it where I was like, I just don't know if it makes me look too narrow at the bottom. I don't know. See what you think in the pictures, but to me it feels a bit top heavy, but I definitely think that's a me thing. That's just some silhouettes suit you and some silhouettes don't. And I'm not 100% sure if I enjoyed wearing this skirt. I actually wore it for the whole day after I photographed it. So I enjoyed wearing it, but I just feel like the proportions maybe I need to play around with to make them suit me better. But they show you how to make a really good garment that mirrors the proportions on the model and in the pictures, basically. So you know that the picture you see on the front is how that skirt is going to look on you because they've told you how to fit it to your measurements, which is amazing. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Now, there'll be details below about if you would like to subscribe to the box. You get 5 project boxes, so each month you get a new box. You get a selection from a sort of small selection of fabrics. I've really liked all of my fabrics so far, so I'm excited to see what's to come next. And if you have any questions, do let me know. But I hope I've answered most of them for you. Okay, you take care. Bye.